Hey Husker fans, Sam McKewon with the Omaha World-Herald and Husker Extra. This is the first of our spring position recap videos. We're going to start with the quarterback position. There you go, post-spring recap. And we're going to look at the guys that left the program, the guys that are still there, and the snapshot going in to the offseason. Well, let's start obviously with Jeff Sims, the guy on the video there. He had a really good spring, and the reason we know he had a really good spring is because the one guy that could have challenged him, Casey Thompson, left and went to Florida Atlantic. If Jeff Sims had gone into that spring game and really struggled, if he had been 2 of 10 and hadn't really run very well and had really struggled throughout spring camp, I think Casey, who was watching every single practice, would have been able to note that and would have been like, I'm going to stick around because I think I might win this job. But the reality is I think Jeff Sims had a really good spring camp, and so it was going to be very hard for Casey Thompson to win that starting job. And I don't really think that what Thompson may have been interested in, which was sort of a day-by-day, play-by-play kind of graded system, is something that Nebraska was willing to engage, because at the end of the day, Nebraska needs to move quickly. They got other positions that they need to get better, and I don't think that quarterback is a weakness for this program. So long as Jeff Sims stays healthy, I think Sims is an experienced starter at Georgia Tech. He brings a running ability to the table. I think he's a good, long-striding, fast runner, and I kind of like the way he threw the football in the spring game. He wasn't perfect by any means, but he threw some nice balls, especially in the middle of the field. Threw a nice corner route to Billy Kemp, had a nice throw up the seam to Nate Borkircher. So I thought there were some nice things in the game. Your two backups right now are Heinrich Haarberg and Chuba Purdy. Haarberg got a lot of love during spring camp. Didn't have the best spring game. I think he's still learning how to be a passer at the collegiate level. At Kearney Catholic, his roster was often much better than the teams that they were playing. He was able to sort of dominate as a thrower. It was kind of a spread open offense. When you get to the Big Ten, some of these things are much harder to do, and I just think that Haarberg is still learning how to be a pocket passer at times, which in this offense he'll have to be. But as a runner, he's got a high ceiling, and they obviously like him as an athlete. Chuba Purdy's interesting, right? So he's played some football. He started a couple of games at Florida State, started a couple for Nebraska. He's been around, and he has some improvisational ability that I like. We saw that at Michigan. We saw that on a drive or two against Wisconsin. There's things about Purdy that I think are really positive, but that needs to be put into a full package. The thing that we saw with Purdy last year is that when he kind of knew what he was doing, he looked pretty good. But then there were times when he was kind of fading back, and he was holding on to the ball, looking for players to get open. When you're starting to do that, you're ultimately you're hurting your offense. And so Purdy's got to keep coming along. It won't surprise me if he's the number 2, but it also won't surprise me if Haarberg's the number 2 and they have a role for Haarberg as a running quarterback. The question is, Logan Smothers, is he going to come back to the program? The door's clearly open for Logan to come back if that's what he wants to do. It wouldn't stun me if he had a role as well, whatever role they could give him. Logan's a really good athlete. I think that he's had shoulder issues, and he wasn't maybe the most elite passer to begin with. And the offense that they want to run right now probably just isn't what they were running back when Adrian Martinez was the quarterback. Generally speaking, I don't think Nebraska's got the best quarterback situation in the Big Ten. That's probably Michigan. But they don't have the worst, and they certainly don't have the worst in the Big Ten West. I mean, there's some teams that have huge question marks, guys that didn't go through spring. I question whether Tannen Mordecai at Wisconsin's really going to be fit up there. I think that's going to be challenging to kind of shift that offense to a spread system when they've been pro style for so long. So I think Jeff Sims puts Nebraska in a really good position so long as he stays healthy. Okay, that is our post-spring recap for quarterbacks. Thanks, Husker fans.